Oh, hello everyone, it's Susie here from Esoteric Trading Solutions. I hope you're all well, looking after yourself, being kind to yourself, being kind to your family, your beautiful parents, your family and your friends, being kind to your beautiful animals, your beautiful dogs, your beautiful cats, whatever animal you have, and being kind to people in the world just to make this a better world. I hope everyone's, recovered after the horrible COVID virus, and we're coming into unlockdown, which is great, so I'm very happy about that. I thought today we'd look at the cryptocurrency market in detail and just have a chat about some of the data and also about some of the news stories out there, and just see what we think about this market going forward. And there are a lot of ways to make money out of crypto, even if you're not trading crypto or staking crypto, which I'll show you some of those as well, which there are giveaways, and there's a lot of giveaways, and I have that in a Slack channel where you can actually get, if you sign up for certain things, you can get $250 or $30 and that sort of thing. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, because this could be a long one, and just relax if you want to learn something. If you don't, turn me off, whatever, you don't have to watch me, and let's go through this. So this is Mazzario, and I love Mazzario. I pay for this, and it's a great service every month. Bitcoin at the moment is 891,784. I've had a look at this technically. It looks like it can probably get down to about 8,500, but I'd be very surprised if it broke down that level. Just the day change is 1.25% to read this. Liquid market is 164 bill. Market dominance still for Bitcoin out of the whole cryptocurrency market is around 66.55%. That hasn't reduced very much over the last year. It's been around sort of 69% down to about 62%. Exchange flows are quite high, 533 mil. Exchange flows out are about the same, so this gives you an idea of what's going out and what's going in. So it doesn't surprise me that this is going down, because you've got exchange flows coming in at 533 mil and exchange flows going out at 537. So you can use these metrics to almost give you an idea of where you think this market's going, just short term. Also coupled with Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP, you'd want to look at the short data as well to see how many people are placing shorts on this data as well. You've got here reported supply on Bitcoin. It's 8.392, which is mined at the moment. So don't forget, there's only 21 million, so there's not many left to mine, just under 3 million. And all-time high for Bitcoin was 20,089, and that was actually 2 years ago. Okay, so basically Bitcoin doesn't have any staking on that. Other coins do, which will add to the value of those coins if they had staking on them. Ethereum, for example, is at 204.71. Basically, it's 0.88 against the US dollar, but it has underperformed Bitcoin in the last 24 hours, down by 0.37. Liquid market is 22 bill, and market dominance is 9.14%. I do keep an eye on these market dominance figures, and obviously I keep an eye on XRP to see what its market dominance is as it rises or as it goes down. And if you go through that, the high basically for Ethereum two years ago was 1431.77. I mean, it's amazing that these reached as high as 2 years ago. It's incredible. Token proceed sales, when it did do its ICO, Ethereum was, when you look at this, 16 million. It's not much these days, but it was a lot then, back in 2014. And its value that it's changed since it did its ICO is literally, 66,000%. It does have an annual staking at 4.3% when it goes to proof of stake, okay? And that's worth keeping an eye on. The minimum staking amount is 32. Has active addresses of 366,000. Bitcoin has active addresses of 807. And I also like to look at these figures here, commits and 1 year commits, and basically this tells you how much they're working on the technology of the system, okay? So we know that Ethereum's going to proof of stake, and there's been quite a lot of commits in the last 90 days, but even Bitcoin's had quite a lot of commits. Over the year, Bitcoin's had 2156 commits, and Ethereum's had 691, which means how much the developers are actually committing code to GitHub, how much they're working on the technology of the system. So I like to look at that as well, okay? And that's quite important. Okay, and then you've got obviously Ethereum and Bitcoin against US dollars. In the last 7 days, have actually underperformed. And if you look at obviously Bitcoin against itself, it's 00, which you'd expect, and then Bitcoin against Ethereum is 4.57. So basically, Ethereum's performed in the last 7 days better against Bitcoin as Tether and as XRP as well. If you go, if we look at the last year, for example, Ethereum's underperformed the US dollar by 24%, and it's underperformed Bitcoin by 10%. If we look at, say, Tether, in the last 30 days, Tether's underperformed Bitcoin by 13%, and in the last year, it's underperformed the US dollar by 0.33. Now, I've said this before, Tether should not be, in my mind, 1-for-1 with the US dollar. They do not buy, when they issue Tether, they don't buy 100% US dollars, okay? And that being the case, this USDT should not be 1-to-1 to the US dollar, okay? I know they say in their white paper that, you know, it's 1-to-1, but it's not correct, okay? So buyer beware. When you trade in Tether, be aware of that. When they do issue Tether, they're only buying about 70% US dollars, okay? So technically, this Tether should be trading at 70 cents to the US dollar. Now, I'll make you aware of that, just like I made you aware of Bitcoin, of Bitrue, the exchange, and other exchanges. Bitrue is still having problems. I've got clients reporting problems to me that they can't get their money out. You know, they're waiting for money to come out, and it's still not happening, okay? So I'll make things aware to you so that you at least know what's going on in the market, because seriously, some things, and there's a lot of scams out there, a lot of coin reviews I look at, and there's heaps of scams, okay? So, you know, I just want you to be aware of that. I have done papers and videos on the Tether problem, and please be aware of that. If you don't know, you know, join my Patreon for $45 US a month or $35 US a month, and I can do a video for you on that, okay? If you don't know the story behind Tether, because it's really important you know what you're dealing with here. So if we go to XRP, interestingly enough, XRP has more active addresses than Tether. According to Mazzaro, XRP has active addresses of 6,043. Tether has active addresses of 5,883, which I find quite interesting. If we go back to the prices, XRP is at 0.196. It held a line in the sand around 16 cents, which I thought was quite good. It has underperformed Bitcoin in the last 24 hours, down 0.57. Liquid market is 5927010252. Market dominance, and again, I keep an eye on that, is 2.37%. Okay, so I keep an eye on that figure as well to see if it's increasing in terms of the overall market of cryptocurrency per se, and I believe that will increase as time goes on as well, okay? So liquid supply is very high. If you have a look at that, compare that liquid supply, say, to Ethereum or Bitcoin, just means it's much more liquid currency than anything else, cryptocurrency. And if you go down, you'll see that's pretty much you know, one of the highest liquid supplies. As also, you know, Tron, I should say, Stellar, and Cardano, according to these figures. So that's liquid supply is very, very high indeed. The all-time high on XRP was 384, and basically that was 2 years ago as well. Okay, now XRP doesn't have any staking or mining or anything like that. So, but it does, you know, as I said, have a lot of active addresses, and you can see here it's had, you know, it's had commits of in the last 90 days 78, and in the 1 year 261, which is a change of anything technical within their system. Okay, so in the last year they've underperformed the US by 0.65 and underperformed Bitcoin by nearly 14%, XRP, which is a bit annoying if you're a holder of XRP, that's for sure. So if we go to Bitcoin Cash, and I'm not going to go through all these, I'm just going to go through the top 10, okay? We've got the same story, up 1% against the US dollar. It's down against Bitcoin. Market dominance is 1.72%. If we just go right through, the high on this one was a lofty high of 4329.52. Wow, that is just amazing, man. Quite incredible. If we go to Bitcoin, Satoshi Vision, which is Craig Wright, who is an Australian who believes that he is this Satoshi, Nakamoto Satoshi, which I don't believe he is. I think it's a bit of a story, to be perfectly honest. Just the last 24 hours, it's down against US dollars and against Bitcoin. And if we go across, the all-time high for this one, interesting enough, has been 4 months ago at 446.54, and it's still traveling around 185.10. Okay. If we go to, let's just have a look at active addresses on that one. I'd be very interested to see what active addresses are. Interesting enough on that, active addresses, wow, at 28,656, and that's because all the traders are behind that. So you can actually have a look at this and get an idea of what people are trading, and clearly, you know, they're trading Bitcoin Cash, 43434 active addresses. They're trading Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, and, you know, Litecoin's got a lot of active addresses as well, 72779, okay? So it gives you an idea of what's being heavily traded or not. If we go to Litecoin, for example, got to a high of 37529.29 2 years ago. It's performed against US dollars, up 0.21, down 1%. But if we look at Litecoin, say, let's just quickly go across here. If we look at Litecoin for the year, it's actually underperformed the US dollar by 63%. You would have been better off being in the US dollar. And it's underperformed Bitcoin by 63%. So Litecoin's really underperformed. And to be honest, I don't actually see a good reason for Litecoin, to be perfectly honest with you. It does everything that all the Bitcoins do. And I just don't see a reason for Litecoin. It doesn't have a lot of clients. And I'm just not a holder of Litecoin. I'm not convinced that Litecoin's going to do anything. Notwithstanding, look, they do use miners, but they use different miners to Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I just feel, you know, for me, it's just it's money that I wouldn't allocate, to be honest, because I just feel it doesn't have a real purpose. Binance, I like very much. Binance are doing incredible things, okay? They're going into the lending business. They're going all over the world. I mean, they're just so competitive. You know, they're basically in the margin business now. They're even looking at potentially going into banks. So I do think Binance is a serious buy. Not that I'm giving you financial advice, this is for me, but I really, really like Binance as a business. It's a money-making business. They're incredible. Their all-time high was 39.33, and that was a year ago, okay? Now, EOS, to me, is a joke. It's at 253. Again, if you look at EOS and have a look at the token proceeds it's got from its ICO, I mean, literally, it was a $4 billion ICO. Seriously, $4 billion they took out of the market, and yet there's still a lot of problems with their technology, which I find amazing. Okay, $4 billion. Now I know the Chinese are behind EOS because you've got what is it? One of the rating agencies, you know, saying buy EOS. Okay. And, you know, I don't necessarily agree with that. The Chinese really like EOS and they're behind it in a big way. It is proof of stake, and, you know, essentially percentage of the network staking is 48%. Has active addresses of 48,000 odd. But, you know, if we have a look at it over the last year to Bitcoin and US dollars, let's just check that out, make sure we've got the right line here. It's down 68% against US dollars and down 69% against Bitcoin. And the thing is, it's a smart contract. Big deal. It's a smart contract. Yes, they have DApps on their system, but Tron has got more DApps now on their system than EOS has. And yet Tron, you know, is at like, what, 0.015 or something. So, you know, in my mind, EOS is just way too expensive. Now, Tezos, you know, had trouble breaking $2.74, you know, $3 I should say, and, you know, has done pretty well. Reached an all-time high 3 months ago of $3.54. Has had a lot of people trading Tezos. They did an ICO 230 mil. There was a lot of argy-bargy between that because the developers and the foundation were at ends with each other. But there have been a lot of traders behind Tezos as well. And, so that's pretty interesting. And, number 11, we've got ADA, which we're still waiting for ADA to do something with their technology, okay? So that's all I'll do. I mentioned Tron, and let's just have a quick look at Stellar here. Stellar is not an equivalent of Ripple's technology. No way. It is just not the same. It doesn't have the hardware or the network that Ripple has. It doesn't have the client base that Ripple has. Also, I noticed that Kin, that was going to potentially use Stellar, Kin is in argy-bargy with the SEC and got closed down. There is some talk that they may look to do something else with another platform going forward. But I don't see Stellar as anything remotely being a competitor to Ripple. Not at all. I know there's other people out there, my clients say, banging on about Stellar, but the reality is Stellar is not, it is not a Ripple, okay? And that's a fact. It just isn't. It doesn't have the hardware, it doesn't have the client base, it doesn't have the network, and it doesn't have the software, okay? It's just that simple. Just that simple in my mind. Okay, so that's all I'll look at there, and then I'm going to go to the news in terms of crypto land to see what's going on there. Now, looking through Slack news, there's been another exchange that's actually delisted Monero, okay, the privacy coin, due to a sex scandal case. And we've seen that over the past year or so, that there have been a few exchanges that have actually delisted privacy coins. So I think going forward, and I've always said this, in a regulated environment, you're going to find it very hard, I think, to hold privacy coins, just simply because of things like this that, say, for example, Monero is connected to. And I think as time goes on, there'll be more illiquidity in privacy coins. So it's something I wouldn't potentially sit in myself, just simply because of, this. Eventually going forward, the fact is they can be delisted from all sorts of exchanges, and over time, if I go back, you'll find there's been quite a few stories about delisting within Slack. If we go to chat, and just a few things in chat, the main story I want to bring to your attention is one of my clients posted this, is this was from Alex Cobe. He said, I submitted withdrawal on BitTrue official 1 hour ago, and the XRP still hasn't been sent out. This is like a Bitcoin transaction. And I say to anyone that uses BitTrue, please do be careful. I don't have a lot of faith in them, I have to say, and I've said that before. I think they're very undercapitalized. They've already been hacked with a $5 million hack. And it just sounds to me like they've got a manual process in terms of their exchange. It's not a proper exchange. Just because they use XRP as a base currency, it doesn't mean that Ripple actually supports them, okay? And a lot of people think that Ripple support them. They don't. They use XRP as a base currency. Ripple don't confirm the credit quality of BitTrue, okay? That's a fact. Now, just because, for example, Sologenic goes on to Ripple's platform, Ripple do not confirm the credit quality or the quality of the project of Sologenic, which I also don't like, okay? People have to understand that. They don't give it a bona fide yes and a big tick just because they're using their platform. Do you understand? And that's the thing, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, become a patron of mine, and then I can spell it out for you in a report. But honestly, you're going to lose your money if you're investing in undercapitalized exchanges that are offering great interest rates of 8% and then paying them out of their marketing budget, which means they're not paying them out of revenue. And that is a risk in itself. And I wouldn't touch this crowd with a barge pole, okay? And that's a fact. There's so many risks in this market, and this is one of them. And my understanding is, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'll say it in qualification. My understanding is that Alex was also an ambassador to BitTrue, getting paid money for every client he put through to BitTrue. So interesting enough, he's come out with this, which my client posted on the 25th. So obviously, he's got problems too, which is not great. I wouldn't use them with a barge pole, Fed income. I just wouldn't, and that's me saying that, okay? So what else we got here today? Anything in the coronavirus thing? Looks like Oxford are trying to work on a record-breaking vaccine, which is interesting. Anything in the crypto exchange file that I want to have a look at? Okay, Exmo Exchange presents its token to be listed on Challenger. What else we got here? Coinbase to custody FTX's exchange token. Coinbase custody has been selected by Binance-backed derivatives exchange FTX to store and insure its exchange token. Wow. Binance and Coinbase, so, Binance particularly are just going full busters. They're just incredible. Centralized crypto futures exchange integrates Chainlink's price oracle. I do like Chainlink actually, and it's one that we're invested in the investment portfolio. It's doing extremely well, and I do like it very much. Hubi, OKX and Upbit joined top 10 in Mazari's rural volume revamp. So I'm actually using Mazari, and it's a very good service, and it's not expensive. Okay, what else we got here? Anything of interest? The death of ICOs. Has the US SEC closed the global window on new tokens? Probably. It wouldn't surprise me. Certainly with Telegram they have. And that was a huge ICO, and I just thought it was a joke that people were investing in that thing as well, to be perfectly honest with you. If we go to important dates very quickly, it's always a lot to cover. Let's have a look on important dates. June the 1st, we've got CME Bitcoin futures, ECB monetary policy, FOMC meeting. CME Bitcoin futures settle, and the Mt. Gox submissions on July the 1st. And what else we got here? We've got Linelink's digital currency launches, Japan tightens rules on crypto margin, and May 2020 Cardano releases Shelley. Well, let's hope they do, because there's been nothing but delay with Cardano on their Shelley. Okay, been very, very slow indeed. So what else we got here? Let's have a look at malicious attacks very quickly. Teenager crypto allegedly threatened life. What was that about? It's always young teenagers that hacks things. Hacker sells tens of thousands of ledger traces and keeps users' information. Please be really careful about where you buy your ledgers and your tasers. Go directly to the ledger people themselves, not through other people, because this sort of thing could happen. Okay, so be really careful there. Stolen taser ledger, and he's kept the databases. Oh my god. Okay, other alts, what else is happening there? Talking about XRP and Monero. As I said, I don't like Monero. Dogecoin is dodgy as far as I'm concerned. It's L Dodge. What else we got? Just looking at governments. Switzerland, Japan, crypto firm aims to make managing digital assets easier. Teen cryptocurrency project. Chinese civil law enables citizens to inherit Bitcoin. That's a good one. And US sanctions against China time for Bitcoin bullish moves. Okay, we do find that China is actually now opening their arms up to Binance as well. So Binance can do something in China. I forgot what it is. We'll go into the Binance folder and have a look. But Binance is just going to kill it going forward as far as I'm concerned. It really is. China strikes down 10% of global BTC hash rate. Okay, so let's have a look at professional crypto. Central bank digital currency needs decentralization. Ontology partners with German startup to accelerate supply chain identity. Have Ontology as well within our portfolio. Lender Genesis has joined the race to build a crypto prime broker with the acquisition of custody service provider Vault. And that's a good story, actually. The more people that get into this, the bigger this is going to become. Central bank caught up with DLT. Will it be used for CBDC? Okay, so obviously distributed ledger technology, central bank digital currency, Grayscale are getting better, bigger and bigger. They're putting more and more money under management. Their money under management actually grew by 80%. Visa's digital currency patent application, a new era of finance. So just quickly going through that, Bucked announced new issue coverage, claims more than 70 custody clients. So the more professionals get into this game, the bigger this market's going to be, and the more traction we're going to see in this market, and the more users of this market. Pantera's raised 125 million for its third crypto fund, and that's great. Pantera really knows what they're doing. They're doing very well. The Bitcoin fund is up 10,000% to date. Okay, some of their other funds are losing money, but the Bitcoin one is up 10,000% year to date. That is incredible. So their other funds have lost 75%, but one's up 87%. The other one's up 10,000%. Wow, massive amount of money. I mean, it's certainly worth the risk to put money in there, isn't it? Let's quickly have a look at Binance, because they're doing a lot of stuff, these guys. Let me just go. Binance. So they're doing something with smart contracts and EOS DFI project. What else? Something else going on. Oh yeah, Binance coming back to China as a blockchain education platform, and this is huge, okay? Because there's a lot of money in education, particularly in China and Hong Kong, and the Asians love education, and the fact that these guys are going back to educate people in terms of cryptocurrency in China is massive, okay? So keep an eye on this story, because this is huge for cryptocurrency, okay? Absolutely huge. Binance aims to create one of the world's largest blockchain-based travel agencies. These guys, what this guy's doing is just amazing. Changpeng Zheng is incredible, okay? Binance USC discusses how traditional finance now looks at crypto differently. Also they employed Catherine Coley from Ripple to head up the Binance USA as well, but just keep an eye on Binance, because seriously, they are just doing amazing things. So they're focusing on a new Chinese domain, and basically they've got approval from the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. Also, Binance, as you know, acquired CoinMarketCap, and they paid 400 million for that as well. So definitely keep an eye on Binance, because these guys are doing some incredible things, okay? Absolutely incredible things. Now, what did I do there? I just made this bigger for some reason. So what else we got here? I'm not going to go too much, because there's always so much going on in markets, okay? There is talk that, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, they believe that Craig Wright could possibly be, a bit of a scammer, which, I sort of suspect that he is, because he still hasn't come up with the private keys for the allegedly Bitcoin that he actually owns. So, we just have to wait and see. What else we got there? EOS. I like to keep an eye on EOS. EOS embarks on a volatile journey. IOTA, brave joint. Okay, I don't like IOTA either. Why EOS is underperforming amid lawsuit scare after and weakening fundamentals. Well, I've always had that view, okay? Always. A class action. So there's been a fund that has launched a class action against Block 1 and EOS High Command, arguing the fraudulent scheme failed to deliver on its primary promise of decentralization. Now, I agree with that, because EOS is not decentralized. In a recent filing, plaintiffs argue CEO Brendan Bloomer and CTO Dan Larimer, former chief and strategy officer of Brock Pierce and former partner Ian Gregg, purposely misled investors and artificially inflated the EOS token price during the year-long ICO, which raised a total of over $4 billion between June 2017 to 2018. So the Block 1 reached settlement with the SEC over running an unregistered securities scale. So keep an eye for that story, because I've never ever liked EOS, okay? And these are the reasons why, pretty much. Plus, they've had nothing but problems with the administration and also the technology itself, okay? So I've never liked EOS. So just keep an eye on that. Kin, as you know, ran into troubles with the SEC, and there's something here about fed up with its fork of Stellar. Kin is looking to move on to Solana, which is interesting. I thought they were actually closed down, but maybe they're not. The SEC, they were fighting the SEC, and it looked like it was going to be their end. But anyway, let's have a quick look at Monero here. These are just the stories for the day. I'm just talking about the Monero. Telegram, as you know, is not going to happen, and that was a joke. It was over $2 billion. Telegram quits court fight with SEC over the blockchain, and my understanding is they're only going to give clients back about 70%, which I think is a joke. Okay, clients should get back 100%. The investors, it looks like they're only going to get back about 70%, which is not great at all. And I think the SEC should force Telegram to give 100% back to the clients, not just 70%, which I think is an absolute joke in itself. It means that clients have lost again, which is not great. So let's just quickly look at Tron. It's always so much stuff going, right? So Tron again is challenging his nemesis Vitalik Buterin with his announcement on Twitter about something. I mean, don't forget Tron's only, very, very cheap, right? It's 0.015, and Ethereum's like $200, so, it's got a long way to go, as far as I'm concerned for what it does. Zinfin is one that I want to have another look at. It looks like it's doing some very interesting things at the moment. And what else we got here? Ripple, remittance growing. I will do an update on Ripple for the month that I normally do, so I'll look into that in more detail. Some of my clients are actually buying MoneyGram, which again is under $2. It looks a pretty good deal to me as well. As you know, Ripple have invested 50 million in those guys. Excuse me. And Zcash, first halving may solve its inflation problem. Interesting. Let's quickly have a look at stable coins. The Winklevoss stable race to begin with Wall Street embrace. Okay, interesting. And let's quickly look at Tether. So that's just very quickly looking at Slack, my database that clients have access to once they become a $45 US a month patron. And let's quickly look at Tether. Tether unseats XRP as third largest crypto, which is a joke. They're launching, issuing more and more Tether. But the question is, are they backing it with US dollars? And they're not. They're not backing it 100% with US dollars. So that's a risk in itself, okay? A big one. If we go to the UK stories just very quickly, because this always goes longer than I want it to. Anything there? So we know about this hack with the crypto guy. Please be careful. Don't buy anything from anyone. Just go directly to the Tracer store that issues them and the Ledger store. Bitcoin derivative data recovering. Tezos looks bullish apparently. XRP will power maintenance between large Japanese enterprises. We know about that, 80% at least, which is very bullish for XRP. We know that this says Craig Wright from Bitcoin Satoshi Vision labelled fraud by Bitcoin addresses that he purposely owns, and it's not a great deal there. Let's have a latest news. Number of companies seeking International Monetary Fund bailout nears 100. That's a lot. It means as the economy gets worse and worse, poor countries need money. And unfortunately, the US controls a lot of the money from the International Monetary Fund. With basically, the International Monetary Fund gets, basically supported by a lot of different member nations through special drawing rights, and those special drawing rights often are dictated to where they go by the US because they actually put more into the special drawing rights than anyone else. So unfortunately, often the case can be that it's very difficult for some countries to get funding when they're going through, economic desperation. I've done a YouTube on this, so please have a look at that. It's not really a great there. Let's just quickly go to most read story. Just pulling that up. We've got RBI, Reserve Bank of India says no curbs on providing bank accounts to crypto traders. Polychain and Coin Ventures are investing 2.5 million in Coin DCX. And what else we got? Bitcoin is CME contract's going to expire next week, so prepare for more volatility. But that's really it, guys and girls. So we'll keep an eye on things, keep an eye on Bernard's because they're doing some incredible things, and keep an eye on some of those professional players in the market as well. Also, I do a lot of different videos on Patreon, okay? So if you'd like to support me on Patreon, it's not very expensive. The lower tier is $10 a month. You get some great videos in there, some great learning for $10 a month. I'd really appreciate if you support me. It helps me, and my highest one is $100 a month. But if you want to, get access to Patreon for all the videos, and cryptocurrency reviews, plus a course that I've done, which is fantastic on Udemy, which is valued at $190, plus, access to Slack and everything I do in there, technicals and option trading and equities and everything. That's $45 a month US, which is not a lot of money, seriously, for what you get. You can look anywhere else and you're just not going to get that value. And we even talk about, crypto options in there, we talk about lots of things, derivatives, we look at all sorts of things, okay? So, please support me. That would be very appreciative. And if you've got any questions, do come back to me. Thanks very much for listening, and sorry I went too long today as I usually do.